Hey guys, it's Brett from Kitchen Table Commander here, bringing you another Commander deck tech. This time one that might tax your friendships? I won't bore you to death with bad puns, so I'll get straight into it. Our commander is none other than Kambal, Consul of Allocation. His likes are keeping people from doing things and making them pay if they want to do those things. His dislikes are pretty much everything else. Seriously though, he costs 1 white, 1 black, and 1 of anything to cast. His ability is whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This deck is all about gaining and draining life. With the exception of removal spells, the majority of the deck is designed to suck the life out of your opponent. Some even pull double duty. Speaking of removal, our package is pretty complicated. We have Oblivion Ring, Banishing Light, Oblivion Strike, and Swords to Plowshares to exile any creature that's giving you a headache. Revoke Existence for artifacts and enchantments. Pacifism, Faith's Fetters, and Vow of Duty to prevent your opponent's creatures from attacking or blocking. Norn's Annex and Ghostly Prison to make them pay if they want to attack with anything. Tragic Slip, Humble, Immolating Glare, Vindicate, Fragmentize, and Ruinous Path for spot removal. Wrath of God, Terminus, Languish, Fumigate, and to a lesser extent, Tragic Arrogance for board wipes. For a more agonizing approach, we have Stab Wound, Torment of Scarabs, Cruel Reality, and Remorseless Punishment to make life miserable for your opponent. Moving on, we have the life gain shell of this deck. We have Authority of the Consuls to both keep your opponents 1 turn back and also to gain you a life each time they play a creature. Blind Obedience is a partial backup in case your opponents don't like the authority you have over them. Damn, I said I wasn't going to do any more bad puns. Oh well. Chaplain's Blessing to just gain 5 life and trigger a bunch of other abilities. Exalted Angel because a 4/5 flyer with lifelink that you can flip on turn 4 isn't half bad. I know it doesn't exactly say lifelink, but for this deck it's basically the same. Gifted Aetherborn because Death Touch. Vampire Cutthroat because getting a 1/1 through almost any board state is pretty sweet. Pious Evangel is here to make sure we gain life each time we play a creature. Vampire Envoy may not do much damage in the air, but it's a great blocker and it gains us life every time we attack with it. And finally, Archangel's Light to get our entire library back plus gain life, and Riot Control for when things aren't going our way. Our life drain package is slightly more complicated. We have Zulaport, Cutthroat, Blood Artist, and Wayward Disciple, once you flip him, to punish your opponent for killing any of our minions. Drana's Emissary and Cliffhaven Vampire to make your opponents lose 2 life every turn and gain you a life. Claustria Healer to drain your opponents each time you play a creature. Trespasser's Curse to make your opponents think twice about playing creatures. Twilight Prophet to drain your opponents and gain a bit of card draw at the same time. Alms of the Vein if you need to enable any of the other triggers. Bontu the Glorified to be able to sacrifice your creature at will. Accursed Witch for an aggressive attacker. Do you care if it dies? Of course not, because when it does, it becomes a curse to your opponent, an infectious curse to be exact. Making spells you cast that target that opponent 1 cheaper and also drains your opponent for 1 on each of their upkeeps. And finally, Abundant Maw to be able to get value out of creatures that have maybe outlived their usefulness. We have some creatures that give us extra value from +1/+1 counters. Serene Steward can give any other creature a +1/+1 whenever you gain life by paying 1 white mana. Nantuko Husk gains +1/+1 for each creature you sacrifice until end of turn. Aetherborn Marauder can move any number of counters you get onto itself when it enters the battlefield, which can make it into a flying beast if it comes in after our next creature. Drana, Liberator of Malakir. You can use her to add counters to all your attacking creatures. Alenda the Dusk-Rose may be kind of expensive for a 1/1, but her abilities make her an easy include. Gaining a +1/+1 for each creature that dies, yours and your opponent's, makes this a serious threat. The lifelink is an added bonus. When she finally dies, she makes X 1/1 white vampires with lifelink, where X equals her power. And finally, Yeheni, Undying Partisan, as a sack engine, and to gain extra value when your opponent's creatures die. What deck with white in it would be complete without Baneslayer Angel, Archangel of Tithes, and Entreat the Angels? Baneslayer is keyword soup and immediately makes your opponents question their chances at winning. The Archangel acts like an additional copy of Norn's Annex or Ghostly Prison, but doubles as a nearly unblockable attacker. And Entreat the Angels can make so many 4/4 angels that your opponent might just concede. The big win con for this deck is the ever-annoying Aetherflux Reservoir. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you cast this turn. That can add up pretty quickly. But it's that second ability that we are really interested in. Pay 50 life, the Reservoir deals 50 damage to target creature or player. Sounds like a lot of life to give up, but this deck gains so much life that it won't be a problem to do this multiple times a game. This deck also includes Fleet Feather Sandals to give anything flying and haste, just in case you need to get over your opponent's creatures to get those last few points of damage in. There aren't too many creatures in this deck that don't already have flying, but the ones that would benefit the most from it can also be win cons in themselves. Sack a bunch of creatures to Nantuko Husk, or just 1 to Abundant Maw, and then give it the Sandals. Then swing in for lethal with the Husk. 6 in the air with the Maw is nothing to laugh at either. In case you need to get any remaining combo pieces or a big threat, this deck also includes both Diabolic and Vampiric Tutors. Our land base is pretty simple since we are only 2 colors. We have some dual lands for fixing in the form of Caves of Koilos, Forsaken Sanctuary, Orzhov Guildgate, and Shambling Vent, with the added benefit of Shambling Vent being able to turn into a creature with lifelink. We also have Unknown Shores, Crumbling Vestige, and Holdout Settlement to be able to make whatever mana we are missing, Blighted Step to gain a bunch of life, Mortuary Mire to get a creature back from the yard, Legion's Landing I've counted as a land because most of the time it will be flipping to give us a Danto the First Fort, which will add a 1/1 white vampire with lifelink for 2 and a white. And finally, 17 plains and 12 swamps. Well, that about does it for this deck tech. You can help out the channel by hitting that like button, leaving a comment, or by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. There's also a link in the description to the Kitchen Table Commander Patreon where you can throw a little mana our way to help me improve the channel. You can find me on Twitter at Kitchen Table Command and on Instagram Kitchen Table Commander. It's been a blast and I'll see you in the next video.